What is everyone saying about Ocean Cay?
Hello everyone, my name is Fatima Mahmood. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. Why am I making these videos about the MSC Meraviglia when there's so many others out there? Click on the link below to watch my video explaining my reasons. I reviewed several videos about Ocean Cay before I made my first trip on the MSC Meraviglia, as well as my first trip to Ocean Cay. Here I'm going to compare and contrast what YouTubers have said with my own experience. YouTubers will say how beautiful Ocean Cay is and that the water is electric blue. I couldn't agree more. The water is a beautiful electric blue as well as the sky, and often they seem to be mirroring each other, not just in a reflection. As much as I enjoyed Ocean Cay, I made a few mistakes in terms of the quote-unquote excursions. So first off, on the website, when you're pre-booking, this is the representation of the mat, and it seems like it's blue, and it seems like you're supposed to roll up the top of it so you have a headrest. And that's considered like an excursion. You do have to rent the mats, you do have to rent the umbrellas, and if you want to walk up to the lighthouse tour, you do have to purchase that. So here are a few mistakes that I made because the advice on YouTube was to, pre-book excursions, quote unquote, and before things sold out, especially if there's reduced capacity. So I think that is good advice when there is an event, but I shouldn't have pre-book certain things because it was my first time on the cruise and it was my first time on the island and doing certain things like getting an umbrella, getting a mat, going to the lighthouse. So my mistake with the lighthouse was I had previously climbed lots of stairs in the Bahamas and my legs were hurting, and it would be more uncomfortable for me to take advantage of my ticket for the lighthouse and walk up all those stairs again. So the policy does not allow for refunds, so that's something to keep in mind. The other mistake that I made was because of a concern about shortages, I did book the mat and the umbrella for both days, and I shouldn't have booked any of it, and I'm going to tell you why in a bit. So here's Seeker's Buffet food court, and the area in the beach that I hung out at was very close to this, and also the rental place pickup for the floating mats as well as the umbrellas you have to rent are also nearby there. But regardless of the short distance, it was a lot for me to carry, and I think that's important to note. So instead of the blue advertised floating mats, these are the pink ones, and they have a headrest, levitated headrest area. So it looks quite different than what's in the picture. And here you can see the umbrellas that you have to bring over for yourself. So when I went to pick these up, I'm petite. If I hadn't asked about how to return these, I would not have been told that you can just leave these on the beach and the crew will come and take care of them. So they weren't telling this to other people. So this is an example of the MSC communication issues. So I spent most of the afternoon telling other people as they were packing up, hey, you can leave your stuff, everything's going to be fine, they're going to come and pick it up. One service that I do wish they had provided in addition to telling people is a bit more help in terms of setting these up on the beach itself for people who have never done that before, which includes me. One of the gentlemen, when I picked this up, he volunteered to help me carry one over. I should have asked him to stay and help me set up the umbrella, but that was my mistake. I had a very difficult time managing this whole sand base of the umbrella. I started taking things apart, and I really shouldn't have done that. So the further assistance, perhaps having some crew sort of comb the beach once in a while and check in with people if they need any assistance, that would have been great. And it could have been done in a way that didn't interrupt people's vacation or their time resting on the beach. So people talk about how Ocean Cay is a younger island and the trees are young, so there's not much shade. And people also discuss the issue with having to rent the umbrellas and the floating mats when other private islands provide them complimentary or first come, first serve. So even if there is more palm trees or older palm trees on an island, there's a limit to how much shade they can provide in this environment. So here are examples of some people trying to pull their loungers over to areas where they get a little bit of shade, but not too much. Here's some more examples. Here we have some more examples as well, trying to even use smaller trees that aren't palm trees to have the same effect. I do want to let people know that yes, there are lifeguards. There weren't too many of them, but they were there. And one of the things that happened, like after 3:30 is, even though, sunset wasn't until 5, around 3:30, crew and the lifeguards would start to pack things up. Whether they were the umbrellas that were left or the mats that were left, or crew coming by looking for glasses and other items from the food places. So, the afternoon can get pretty quiet on Ocean Cay. So that's a good time to come and take advantage of it. The other thing is, even though the rental place wasn't telling people, hey, you can leave your mats, you can leave your umbrellas, we'll pick them up. Some people just did it, even when I wasn't telling them. And so if you want to go around the rental issue, you can wait till later in the afternoon to come off the ship or to go to the beach and see what's available. I want to encourage you to watch more full videos that other people do touring the whole Ocean Cay, including facilities like this that are the bathrooms and the outdoor showers and the locker rooms combined. Here's an example of the locker rooms and the lockers for rent, and they seem spacious. So here's a touchscreen, and it clearly says renting the locker, and I think that's important for the next thing. It says rent, but nowhere on the outside does it talk about the cost of doing so. So this again goes back to an issue of communication. Maybe the cost is, inside the screen, but someone shouldn't have to go and start entering and potentially getting a locker before they know what the cost is. The cost should be somehow written outside, or if it's rent but it's not really rent, it's actually free, then that should be mentioned clearly in advance. If I'm wrong about this and it is mentioned somewhere, please let me know. YouTubers have commented that because the island is new and still developing, in the one paths that would be available for the buggies and the carts to drive on, that would be the same path that people would have to walk on. And so people would always have to step off to the side. So as a petite person, I didn't find that a problem. I felt there was enough room to pass by. Obviously, people would want to step further off, so there's more space in between the buggies and the carts and the people walking. But maybe since those videos were posted and since the start of my trip to the island, there are these pedestrian only walkways, and I wanted to make sure that people had them and saw them. I doubt they're all over the island. I think they're in development, but they're there. I do want to recommend that people visit all the stores on the island. There are only 4, they're near each other, and they're not too far from the ship. So one advantage is that the price that's listed on signs like these is the total price, including the VAT tax, etc. So that's a little bit different than shopping in some places in the US. So there are 4 what you can say shops. One is the Welcome Center, and another location does not take payment through your cruise card, so you have to pay separately, either credit card or cash. And so I encourage people to visit all 4 of them. The merchandise is different slightly in all 4 of them, and the deals and discounts are different, so it's worth your while to check them out to see what you might be interested in. In the materials I received and read online before coming to the island, there was a push by the cruise line to say, please use reef-friendly, reef-safe sunscreen. But in that same writing, they would not then describe what is reef friendly or reef safe, or nor do they say the removal of XYZ ingredients makes the sunscreen reef safe or reef friendly. So that was a bit confusing. It goes back to communication. Do you want then the passengers to go off on their own and Google and search, what does reef safe mean? What if that result that they find is different than what you're intending? So that's another communication point. So my sunscreen, I like to use a really high SPF, I like 100, but when you're at the store on Ocean Cay and you're looking for that reef friendly, reef safe sunscreen, you see this is an example of a 20. Here's a 30, and here is a tinted sunscreen that's at 30. So it's challenging to figure out where you're going to get reef friendly, and if you want something that's higher than 30, like even up to 100, which I prefer to use, it's becoming unclear. It's a lot of extra work to figure out where you're going to get that. So in my other videos, I posted about the evening parties and events and the light shows that happen on Ocean Cay, so please do check that out. But again, this might happen in other beaches and this might happen in other private islands, but people do reserve their seating with the limited amount of lawn chairs, etc., that are available. So something that's important in Ocean Cay is environmentalism, and maybe other lines do this, but before you go on the ship, to keep separation between what's brought on the ship and what's left on the island, they do have bins to collect not only towels but also glassware. Seeing the bin area reminded me of all of these shells that are on the island, and earlier in the day when I was there, there was a strong conversation between two different couples. So in the daily programs and even on the MSC Itself website, they will say things like, please don't bring anything natural, quote unquote natural, from the island onto the ship or back home with you. Please leave natural things on the island. We are reclaiming it and we're trying to be conscious about the environment. So one couple was searching for items like this and found one, and they're saying to themselves, oh, we're going to take this home. And another couple heard them and was pointing out what I pointed out about the dailies, and was also saying, hey, look at that shell. You can see that an animal ate it, so it's not fake. It's, and the other couple going back and saying, no, these things were brought onto the island, so it's not really real, so it's not an issue to take them, even if they say don't take them. And all I can say was, it was a conversation, but I think with alcohol it could have escalated into something. But the basic thing is that in writing, MSC does ask you to leave things, so please consider their request. Just remember that the information I provided is subject to change based on the ship you're cruising on, the season, the port or the location of the cruise, and external circumstances such as weather and health crises. Thank you for watching my video. I'd love to hear from you on email at fmahmood@wellesley.edu. You can also find me on LinkedIn at that address. And if you do send me a connection request, please go ahead and send me a note. Before you go, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. And please go ahead and watch my next video. Thank you.